In my continued reflections on belief, faith, and human psychology, I've come to recognize another dimension, one that's often left out of conversations about projection. We often talk about projection in the negative sense, how people disown parts of themselves, anger, fear, insecurity, and project those onto others. But there's another side. We don't just project our shadows onto others, sometimes we project our light. That is, we assume others think as deeply as we do, that they value fairness, that they're willing to examine their own beliefs, that they, like us, would want to avoid hypocrisy once it's pointed out. And in doing so, we may give people the benefit of the doubt, not based on who they are, but based on who we are. This is what I call positive projection. It doesn't come from ego, it comes from hope, from compassion, from a belief in the shared potential of humanity. But if we're not careful, it can also lead to confusion, exhaustion, and disappointment, especially when we direct it toward people who are rigidly closed off, deeply fused with an ideology, or emotionally allergic to introspection. I've noticed this most when engaging with individuals or groups who've entrenched themselves in a kind of religious or ideological certainty. When I try to speak from a place of reason, fairness, or shared humanity, it sometimes feels like I'm speaking across a chasm, not because they're incapable, but because they don't want to meet me there. I may be projecting clarity. They may be defending identity. I may be offering trust. They may be scanning for threat. And in that mismatch, the conversation breaks down, not because I said the wrong thing, but because I assumed too much about their willingness to reflect. That doesn't mean I should stop living by my values, but it does mean I need to be wise about where I shine my light. There's a danger in mistaking our projections for reality. When we say, they must be open to reason, or surely they'll see the hypocrisy, what we're really saying is, if I were them, I would. But they aren't us. And sometimes the gap between who they are and who we imagine they could be is a canyon filled with silence. Still, I don't regret projecting goodness. What I've learned is that hope must be paired with discernment. Some people are frozen soil, and no matter how good our seeds are, they won't take root there. Not yet, maybe not ever. But that doesn't make us foolish. It makes us human. The growth comes in learning to recognize when our light is landing on concrete instead of canvas. Stop mistaking potential for readiness and accept that not every soul is positioned to receive what we offer. I still believe in the power of conversation. I still believe in transformation, but I no longer believe that everyone is currently capable of receiving the parts of myself I used to freely project. That's not cynicism, that's clarity. And in that clarity, I find a new kind of peace, loving people for who they are without losing sight of who I am, staying open-hearted without handing my heart to those who won't hold it carefully, seeing the light in others, but never again forgetting to protect my own.